What we've done to transform our large enrollment undergraduate mathematics science courses is that instead of going to lecture for the 3 days a week, maybe 1 day a week you go to a learning team. And the learning team consists of about 6 to 20 students who work with, for example, in astronomy, real astronomical data. They fit the data. They engage in discourse with their peers in order to make sense of the data. And the final word about what is the right answer is what the evidence supports. So the authority is nature rather than the teacher in these environments. But in order to do this, you have to have small groups of students interacting with one another. I forgot to say something about the purple dots. Who's going to run all these little learning teams? We only have a few professors per department. We hire undergraduate learning assistants, not teaching assistants. They're assisting in the learning process of these students to run these learning teams. And at the same time, the learning assistants make up the pool from which we recruit new K-12 teachers. So you can see that we're coupling our efforts for course transformation with our efforts for teacher recruitment and preparation. The learning assistant experience, you might be wondering, you can't just take someone just because they're good in physics, throw them into the classroom and think that they're going to be a good teacher, but they actually experience a three-pronged experience. And the first is they engage in content, where they engage in weekly planning sessions with the instructor of the large enrollment science or math course, where they plan for the upcoming week, they reflect on the previous week, and oftentimes they analyze real assessment data from previous semesters of that particular lesson or activity. And then they engage in practice. They work with those learning teams of about 6 to 20 students every week that I just showed you that picture. And because they work with such small groups of students, they learn how the undergraduate students are interacting with the content of that course. So they're able to provide formative feedback to the instructor that interacts with 200 of them, or 500 in the case of chemistry at our school. And so they're able to help the teacher understand more about the students that are taking that course. And they engage in pedagogy. LAs from all departments take a special course in mathematics and science education where they read current literature, current and old literature that is relevant to teaching and learning mathematics. They learn about learning theory, and they also learn some practical techniques that they can go try out that very next week or during that week. And then they come back and talk about how it went. And so they engage in pedagogical experiences as well, and that clearly feeds back into their practice and also into their engagement with the lead instructor for that course. Oftentimes they find themselves giving some of the readings to their chemistry professor, the chemistry professor that's running the course, or the physics professor, and the faculty members are getting a lot of extra education as a result of that. Now, I told you that we're recruiting these learning assistants to become K-12 teachers, and I'm going to show you how. This is the timeline of the learning assistant experience. And they used to be students in mostly traditional courses, but now we've transformed so many courses at CU Boulder that a lot of them are coming out of transformed courses that have used learning assistants. And then they apply to be a learning assistant. For example, this year, October 22nd, that's next Wednesday, is our information session. And about 200 to 250 students from all over campus will show up to this information session. And it's at that place that we kind of advertise, every department advertises the positions, the learning assistant positions they'll have next year, and then the students apply online. If they're accepted to be a learning assistant, I should tell you that only about 1/4 to 1/3 of those that apply can become a learning assistant because it's increasingly becoming the thing to do. And so we only can hire about 75 per semester, and that's much fewer than actually apply. When their first semester of being a learning assistant, they take this special mathematics and science education course. The second semester, you can only be a learning assistant for the second semester if you show evidence that you're thinking about considering maybe finding out more about possibly considering teaching as a career.